We got a man down under, and I call him Baz. The Aussie talking ball, hot takes is what he has. He knows all of the teams from the Heat to the Jazz, but nobody gonna overthrow the Warriors or Cavs. Yeah, we got all of NBA. The ball don't lie. Listen to all that I say. I lay it off the glass. Baz is knocking down the J, and I'm coming for the industry to do this for all pay. Yo, what's up, guys? Yes, that was Down Under by Men at Work. Because today we've got a special guest. We've got Brayden Basil. I was in India with him for a couple years. This guy knows basketball, and we're going to talk straight NBA, and he's got some great takes. I just thought I'd make a little tribute to him with that awesome intro song. It's going to be a great show. Basil really does know his stuff. So we're going to introduce Basil here, and enjoy, guys. How I know this guy is I was with him in India for a couple years, and he always kicked my butt in basketball one-on-one. So I thought I'd ask him what his thoughts are today. He's also got some experience against some ballers. He played against, Ben Simmons and Exum. So this guy's gotten buckets against some NBA players. So he's quite the basketball guy. So yeah, man, let's jump right into it. Starting with this NBA season, kind of get your takes from Australia and see what you've been thinking from Down Under. So far, who is leading your MVP race this year?
Let's just start off by saying Down Under. There's a lot of people that don't know what they're talking about when it comes to basketball. Although it's gotten bigger, but everyone's talking about Harden, everyone's talking about LeBron, and those two guys really are at the forefront for the MVP. I mean, right now, Harden just dropped 48 the other night.
Yeah.
Last night, was it? And then LeBron got a triple-double the other night. Harden's averaging 31 points and 9 assists. And so right now, it's got to be Harden's taking it. Houston are the best team in the league. They're playing great basketball. They'll have to keep it up, though. Right now, it's Harden, but LeBron's right behind him.
Well, and then a lot of people have this argument with LeBron that he's the MVP every single year because he's LeBron James and he's the best player. And this season, he has been playing one of the best seasons of his career, actually.
28-8.
Yeah, and he's shooting the ball a lot better than he has been from three, especially, so his game has evolved. But does that argument still kind of loom in your mind that you're like, well, he is the best player, and without him, the Cavs wouldn't really be much? Or Harden, just the way he's playing out of his mind, is that what elevates him over LeBron James right now?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, Harden's been outstanding for the last couple of seasons, so was LeBron. But stats don't lie, Harden's killing it. Even with Chris Paul there, he's playing really good basketball, and offensively, he's unstoppable. He's playing really well. People can't guard him.
Yeah.
So,
I think Harden's kind of due for one because last season it was him or Westbrook, and then the year before he was in that race. The year before he was in the race, so he's kind of been in it for a few years.
Yeah, exactly.
Might be his year this year. He's starting to, and he's leading the best team in the NBA right now. So
I think Harden's on track. We'll see how it goes. Look, Harden's been doing it for a while. I don't know how LeBron's, and I think things are going to change when Isaiah Thomas comes back. I think it's going to change a lot. I think LeBron's performance is going to change. The way the Cavs play are going to change if Isaiah Thomas is healthy. Isaiah Thomas averaged 29 points a game last year.
Yeah.
He's going to come back and it's going to change. LeBron's role is going to be, I think, different. So
true.
I think Harden might edge me out this year. As much as I hate to say it.
Another guy to throw in that race, maybe I'll get your take on him, is Kyrie Irving and leading the Celtics. But to me, I understand where people are coming from, but he's not in my MVP race because his numbers are actually down since last year. And yes, he's playing great and he's leading a great Celtics team, but to me, he's not really even close to one of those two guys as MVP.
No, I agree. He's averaging 24 points a game. And he's playing good basketball. Boston are on top of the East, but I think even before Kyrie, you've got to put guys like Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant in front of him, honestly. Yeah. Golden State's playing great basketball. Kevin Durant's averaging 25 points a game, and Stephen Curry's averaging 26 points a game, and they're winning games, and I would put them before Kyrie, but he's a notable. He'd be in the top 5.
Well, and sticking on that topic, I want to get to Kevin Durant really quick. I hate the guy, but he is really balling out, and I was watching a couple of his games, especially without Curry, and to me, it seems like he's a totally different player than he was in Oklahoma City, because in OKC, it was, give me the ball, I'm going to ISO and score 30 a game, but now Durant's got his assist average up, he's got his rebounds average up, he's second in the league in blocks, and he just seems more like a basketball player now, and so to me, he's not in a lot of people's MVP races, but to me, he should be, because I don't think the Warriors last year would have gotten past the Cavs without him, as well as this season, he's shown even without Stephen Curry, he's leading him. He had a triple-double in one of them, and then he had about 34 points in the other to lead them, and he showed that he can lead a team now, as that main guy, not relying just on Stephen Curry. Being a basketball player playing defense. I mean, I think he's in consideration for, all NBA first team on defense this year. I mean, I think he should also be vaulted into that MVP race, although he hasn't been in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the good thing about that is, like, he can still switch on, Assassin KD and just start dropping, getting buckets. So he's really becoming that player. He's really becoming a complete player where he can just turn it on and off, do what he needs to do. Golden State just looks so crisp. Their plays, their offense is just so good. They're always working.
Keeping on that kind of subject with great teams, who is one of the great teams this year that you think is the biggest threat to the Warriors, if there is one?
If there is one, look, right now, really, I don't think there's anyone. If you put any team in a 7-game series against Golden State, maybe Houston would win a couple, the way that Houston's playing, because Harden's on another level. I think Houston would get a couple, but I think right now, there's no threat. If the Cavs work it out, I think they'll be the only threat, really.
We'll go back to the Cavs in just a couple minutes, but I want to hit on Houston real quick, because to me, Houston this year has really improved their defense. Last year, we all knew they could put up a lot of points, but they couldn't defend anybody. This season, they're one of the better defensive teams. And to me, I like Houston as a team that can compete, but the only thing I keep saying is they have to be able to outshoot them 4 out of 7 games, which is the hard thing because they can shoot with the best of them. The Rockets are one of the best three-point shooting teams in the entire league. Nowadays, in this game, you have to be able to put up 120 points to compete with the Warriors, and the Rockets can do that. The question is, can they do that 4 of 7 games? And I don't know if they can. Now, shifting to the Cavs, I think the Cavs are the bigger threat because of one said LeBron James, right? He's the best player. Do you think the Cavs need to make a move? There've been trade rumors about maybe grabbing Marc Gasol or maybe grabbing DeAndre Jordan. Do you think they need to make a move? And if they do, if that'll help them or not?
Adding one of those two would definitely help them. Again, you'd have to integrate that, you'd have to integrate them into the system. I think with their current roster, they should be able to pose a threat regardless of whether or not they have DeAndre Jordan or Gasol or anything like that.
Yeah, see, my personal opinion is I think DeAndre Jordan wouldn't put them any better because he's not an offensive threat. But what I see is if they could land Marc Gasol in theory, I think they could beat the Warriors because Marc Gasol gives them that other offensive threat. Not only does he do that, but he's also a good defender and he can protect the rim. Do I think that they would beat the Warriors? Not necessarily, but in answer to your question, like what they'd have to give up, what I'm hearing is they'd probably have to give up Tristan Thompson, he's a pretty good asset in rebounding. But last season we saw in the finals, Thompson against the Warriors really wasn't much of a threat because he couldn't switch onto one of those guys. But Marc Gasol's a pretty good rim protector, probably better than Thompson is, and he can actually be an offensive guy. But they'd also have to give up their Brooklyn Nets pick, which would be really tough for them to do, considering maybe LeBron might have to leave. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that moving forward. Moving on to your team, the Miami Heat. I know you're a big Heat fan, and you've stuck with them, even LeBron leaving for Cleveland again. The Heat just don't seem to be able, they're not figuring it out so far this year, and it seems like there's games where they can beat any team in the league. Like they played really well against the Celtics, ending their win streak. What's your take on the Heat, and what do they need to do to get back into the playoff picture this year?
Let me just clarify before I say anything that the Miami Heat, watching Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat is what got me into basketball in 2006, 2007. So I got in the bandwagon back then, so I just want to clarify that.
There you go.
Unfortunately, Wade's not there anymore, but the Heat have a good bunch of role players on it, and I watched the Heat quite a bit. I think what would make the Heat a competitor and solidify a position in the playoffs is having a superstar. I mean, and that's easy to say for all teams, but Miami have the pieces. They've got good role players. They work well together. They every game is a struggle. They never blow out any teams. They're struggling. And if you look at the teams that are above them in the standings, it's going to be those 8 teams or 9. I think the Heat are 10th in the East, and so those teams are in front of them are much more stronger teams than the Heat. It's going to be hard for the Heat to get into it. Really, Eric Spoelstra's a great coach. They need to make a move where they have a player that's, because right now their main go-to is Dion Waiters or Goran Dragic. So
yeah, depending on the night, right?
Depending on the night, Hassan Whiteside is a good player, but he's injured, and not only that, he's not an offensive player.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to ask you about is Hassan Whiteside, because they have been without him, and he's a key piece. Does he have that potential, do you think, to be a superstar player? Because he's likely to maybe make the All-Star game this year, which will be a first for him. But like you said, he hasn't showed as much as he needs to on the offensive side of the ball. But do you think he has that potential to do so if he gets other guys around him that can maybe take some of the pressure off of him?
I don't know about taking the pressure off. I definitely look. To answer your question, yes, I think he has the potential. He's just got to refine his offensive game more. He doesn't have a very good jump shot, kind of ugly. He doesn't have a lot of good post moves. A lot of his points are scored off tips or dunks. So I think he does. I think that you could actually build a team around him being a center. He's a big guy. I don't know what his weight is, but he's what, 7? He's over 7 feet tall. He's 7 feet. He's got a lot of strength to him. I think he has a lot of potential. But he's averaging about 14 points and 15 rebounds or something like that.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on these numbers. I'm just off the top of my head. It's similar. He's kind of similar to Andre Drummond.
Yeah.
In kind of the stats. So Andre Drummond's sort of in the same boat. I think you can build around him. I think he's got potential. He just needs the pieces around him to work it, and he's just got to refine his offensive game. If he could get a shot like Aldridge or something, he'd be able to score a lot more points. He needs to be scoring 20 points a game at least for the Heat to be winning games.
My next topic I want to get to is the Heat have been kind of disappointing this year. A lot of people thought that the Heat were probably going to be in that maybe top half of the East, maybe even the top quarter of the East. But besides them, who do you think are the most disappointing teams, or maybe disappointing team? Maybe there's one of them that you've seen so far this year, and maybe you can even throw in a couple players that you have expected more out of but haven't seen from this year.
Look, to answer that question, it's got to be Oklahoma.
Yeah.
For me, when you get the type of guys that they've got together, there's obviously the big hype that they had, and they've so much potential. If they get that offense working, they could be, an offensive juggernaut. They could outscore any team, including the Warriors, with those players alone. And so to be where they are, have a losing record, are they like 11-13 or something?
Yeah, they just got a win last night, so they're about 12. Yeah, they're 12-13.
I do believe that they can turn things around. They got plenty of time to do it, to the point where they can go deep into the playoffs. I believe with the roster that they have and the experience that they have, they're definitely the most disappointing team so far. I expected a lot more out of Oklahoma City, and also considering Westbrook was last year's MVP.
Yeah,
there's a lot that goes along with that. I think their roles are still messed up. So in terms of disappointing players, Paul George has been quite inconsistent this year.
Yeah.
Paul George, but I think he needs to have the ball in his hands more than Carmelo Anthony does. Paul George is averaging only 20 points a game. Westbrook's averaging, I think, 22 points a game.
Yeah.
Melo's averaging 18 points. Melo's got the ball in his hands too much. I think the offense needs to run through Westbrook and Paul George more.
What's your take on Carmelo and what they need to do with him?
I think honestly, the first thing they need to figure out is just the ball usage if he's on the court with the other two. I don't think they're maximizing that ball usage. OKC does have a good roster, and I think the question would be, how would Carmelo Anthony go with the bench without Westbrook and George? I think Billy Donovan's really just got to figure out that rotation. You got to mix things up at this point, because right now they're 11-13, things aren't working. So yeah, like you mentioned, Dwayne, where coming off the bench might work. So I'll give it a shot, see how it goes. I think it's just all between those three, really. And yeah, Steven Adams, of course.
Yeah.
But if Steven Adams was to remain on the court with Melo, that would work. They'll be able to give Westbrook and George some rest. I just want to see the Oklahoma City Thunder do well.
We've seen a lot from the rookies now this season. Ben Simmons has been tearing it up. He's got a few triple doubles. Lonzo Ball's got a couple of his own. If the season ended now, who would you give your Rookie of the Year award to?
If it ended right now, I'd probably give it to Ben Simmons.
Just because you scored on him? Is that why?
Yeah, that's it. Let's just end it there. Look, he's averaging what, 18 points, 9 and 7. So he's playing great. He's still raw though, Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
He's really raw. He's not a very good offensive player. He gets all of his points from layups and dunks. He has no jump shot. He can't shoot free throws. So Ben Simmons his potential is through the roof. Recently, I've been looking at this guy, Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
This guy, he's something else. Like, he's so poised. And he doesn't look like he's a rookie when he plays basketball. He looks so good. He dropped 41 the other night. Like, the guy can score.
Yeah.
I think, and he's averaging 17 points a game. I think if he keeps it up, if he plays like this and Utah continues to be in the position that they're in, like, he could beat out Ben Simmons. You know what I mean? So he's amazing. So as for Lonzo and some of the other guys, you can tell that they're still kids. You can tell that they're still young, developing.
Yeah.
Kuzma and Tatum and guys like that who are all playing good. And that Markkanen guy,
Yeah, Markkanen.
It's between Mitchell and Simmons right now.
So it's interesting. I would throw. I agree with you with some guys like obviously Lonzo and Markkanen. They're still developing, and Kyle Kuzma, who's been playing above what people thought, but on the defensive end, he's pretty bad. He's not a very good defensive player.
Yeah.
But Jason Tatum to me has seemed like the most NBA ready player guy to me, because the way he puts the ball in the hole, he's leading the NBA in 3-point percentage, which I don't think anyone predicted that to happen. And he's also a pretty good defender because he's long and athletic. To me, Jason Tatum seems like the most ready. Would I give him the Rookie of the Year right now? Maybe not, but I think he's got to be in that discussion because, the way that he's playing, he's filled in for Gordon Hayward just nicely. I mean, like we talked about on the phone before, just for fun, we've talked about how this might have been a good thing for Boston, as bad as it sounds, that Hayward got hurt, because it makes these young guys develop a little bit quicker. And, Jason Tatum's been playing really well.
And that's a good thing, though, because he's stepped up to the pressure. Being at Boston, who finished on the top of the East last year, and coming in to fill in that spot of Hayward, that's a lot of pressure. So that takes a lot of maturity to be able to do that. These other guys, Mitchell and Ben Simmons, are playing for teams that were, Utah was good last year, or better than Philadelphia, but Philadelphia was trash.
Yeah.
So the expectation or what they have to step up to wasn't as big as Jason Tatum. So either way, all three of them are in great positions to really do well this year. They're in great teams where they're able to, when I say great teams, I mean great positions where they're able to really, show their talent and really go hard and do well.
I want to just real quick compare Lonzo Ball to Ben Simmons, because to me, Lonzo Ball does not get fair assessment of his game, because what's most people's knock against Lonzo Ball is he can't shoot the ball. But Ben Simmons also can't shoot. He's a horrible shooter. He shoots, 50% from the free throw line, around that.
Yeah.
He's not a three-point shooter. But there's just something different about the guy than there is Lonzo Ball. A lot of it's aggressiveness and things like that. The physical specimen. What do you see from Lonzo Ball this season and his potential? Do you think he can break out of this and become a player like Ben Simmons? Or do you think Lonzo Ball's going to have a tough time in this league?
I think that he has the potential. I watched a game the other night. I can't remember who the Lakers played against.
They beat the Sixers.
They beat the Sixers. I think it was against the Sixers, or might have been the game before that. But Lonzo Ball was really attacking.
Yeah.
He's fast, and I think that's a really good asset. Like, Lonzo Ball is very quick. He can handle the ball. He can push the offense. He can push the tempos. When I was watching that and seeing him being assertive and aggressive, I was looking at him like, yeah, this guy could score points.
Yeah.
That's the difference. I mean, Ben Simmons is scoring 18 points a game, but he's got the ball more in his hands. He's attacking. He's looking to attack. And if he does attack, he kicks it out. He drives and kicks. So I think Lonzo Ball just needs to keep being aggressive, because he's faster than Ben Simmons. He's quick up and down the court. Lonzo Ball is quick, and I was watching that. I'm like, man, and he's got a nice touch around the rim. So I think that he does have potential. Doesn't matter about his shot. As long as he's trying to get to the rim and get to the free throw line, I think Lonzo Ball has potential.
Just for the next couple minutes, I just want to get your very quick, maybe one sentence takes on a couple of these things. The Pelicans, long term, can this Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins duo work out? Because they are unstoppable offensively. And Holiday's good, but they have no wings. Like I've said in one of my other videos, you might as well put a trash can out there as one of their wings, because they're so bad. But yet Cousins and Davis seem to put up 50 to 60 points a game combined, and you can't stop them.
No, I love watching the Pelicans. I'm just going to throw that out there. DeMarcus Cousins, if the Pelicans have a better record, DeMarcus Cousins would be higher in the MVP race for me.
Yeah.
The guy he's a beast. And so, I mean, Davis is playing phenomenal too. The Pelicans are an exciting team. They got Drew Holiday and Rondo. They got plenty of people at the guards, like you said. Yeah, they need wing players, and if the Pelicans are able to build around that, they would be deep into the playoffs. Because I mean, you've got two big guys that bigs are hard to come by, and so especially bigs like them, the two best bigs in the league.
Yeah,
and so that's hard to guard no matter who you are, even if you're Golden State. You can't guard DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis down low. So if they had a team, if they had those players, man, the Pelicans would be good. I just don't know how long they're going to stay together. I don't know if that's going to happen before Davis leaves.
Yeah.
Or what. But yeah, I love watching the Pelicans play. Minnesota
Timberwolves, real or not real?
Real.
All right.
I think they're young, but just watching them, Wiggins is something else, man. He's young, but Wiggins is very poised. Like, Wiggins can lead that team. Butler is refined. As much as I don't like Jimmy Butler at all, Karl Anthony Towns, I think they've got a good. I reckon they'll finish. They'll go to the playoffs this year. I think they've got great players. Jeff Teague is a veteran.
Yeah.
Taj Gibson's a veteran. They've got like enough players to take them to the playoffs. I don't know how deep, but what are they, fourth?
Yeah, they're fourth right now. My concern with them is Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins are offensive machines. They're great.
Right.
But on the defensive side of the ball, they can't guard a rock. I mean, these guys, seriously, they don't play defense. And who's their coach? It's Tom Thibodeau. He's all about defense. And my concern is if he can't get those guys to play defense, if he, of all people, cannot get them to play defense, who's going to do that? And how are the Timberwolves going to move forward? I can see them being like a Raptors team where this team keeps getting to the playoffs year after year after year, but they lose in the second round because they don't quite have enough and they don't do enough of the little things. The Raptors don't have enough scoring. Well, the Timberwolves don't have enough defense on one side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Real or not real? Philadelphia 76ers playoff chances this year, advancing to the second round. Real or not real?
Going to the playoffs is real. Second round, not real.
Okay. Detroit Pistons, top 5 seed.
Not real.
Okay. Washington Wizards have nowhere to go from here. They're just
No.
stuck in neutral,
Yeah,
real or not
they're
real.
also a disappointing team. Yeah, go on.
The Wizards, I mean, especially without John Wall, it's hard right now. But even when they had him at the beginning of the year, to me, at the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, the Wizards could compete for even the number 1 seed in the East because they're good.
Yeah, yeah.
But they've been like, they don't have a bench. Their big men are just meh. They're very average. And just, it seems to me like John Wall and Bradley Beal are great. Otto Porter's good. But other than that, they have no consistency. I mean, I don't even know what to say about the Wizards.
I know that I feel like I'm in that kind of realm too. They're really interesting to have a look at because they do seem to have the pieces. I mean, Gortat is not a terrible center.
Yeah, but he's just average.
He's average, and Porter's been playing well. Bill's been playing out of his mind. Like, they have some players that are good. I think they'll still finish top 5 in the East, mainly because the East blows. But
yeah.
they will finish there. How deep they'll go this year, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But last year, they looked so good.
Last question before we start wrapping up is the Celtics and Cavs look primed for a rematch in the Eastern Conference Finals. And
Yeah.
the Celtics have been playing really great basketball again. I mean, they're 4 games ahead of second place in the East, so they're playing great. But can they beat the Cavs in a 7-game series realistically?
No. I don't. The Cavs are a great all-rounded team. I mean, look, that's one thing that, I mean, at the beginning we mentioned about Kyrie Irving being valuable. He really is valuable to that team. He's very valuable. I mean, things run through Kyrie Irving. So, and the offense flows through him. So I think Cleveland will be able to put somewhat of a hold on Kyrie Irving. They would have played against them. No, I don't think that they'll beat Cleveland.
So we're going to have part 4 this year in the NBA Finals, Cavs and Warriors part 4.
Part 4, yeah, if all goes well, part 4. We'll see how it goes. I mean, playoffs always bring new surprises, new adventures. And
Yeah.
I don't want to, I mean, I know this happens every year. The Toronto Raptors go to the playoffs, maybe second round. I like the Raptors. I'm a fan of the Raptors. I'm a big believer in DeMar DeRozan.
I know. I want them to beat the Cavs, but they just they get swept every time.
I know. I want them to go to the conference final, honestly. I want them to go so badly. So I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that the Raptors go over Boston. I don't want to see Boston go there. Really, I don't care.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me today, man. Good to get your
No
takes
worries.
on basketball. Just real quick for all the people out there watching this, Brayden Basil is a baller, but he's out right now with an ACL injury. But if you could watch him ball, you would love it. So if they could watch you ball, who would you say that they would be watching if you related yourself to an NBA player? Who do you model your game after?
Easily probably LeBron and Michael Jordan together.
Ooh.
No, should I go humble here and say...
No, just who do you think that you play like? When you watch a guy, you're like, wow, I play a lot like this guy.
I play a lot like, and I try to model my game after Damian Lillard. So
Damian Lillard?
I like the way Lillard plays. I like to attack the rim as well as shoot the basketball. So, I mean, yeah, Lillard's the man.
I give you your boy DeMar DeRozan. I think like you got a good mid range. You make contested jump shots. You're a good finisher inside.
Yeah, that's cool.
Lazy on defense. No, I'm just
Lazy on
kidding.
defense.
I'm just kidding. Thanks,
Well,
Brayden.
it's good to be here.
Yeah, mate. It's good to talk to you. So we'll catch you later. Catch ya.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Take care.
All right,
Thanks.
bye, mate.